Trump collusion with the Russians. Oh, also, Michael Avenatti is getting arrested.
Hello, this is Mark, and you are listening to Last American Voice. As per usual, I am on the line with Dan. How are you, Dan?
I'm good. Hello.
It was funny, we were saying last week how we were not sure if there would be enough material to talk about.
Yeah, there's always enough material.
And the week has not given us anything but news every day of the week.
Every damn day.
It's only been 3 days of this week.
Yep.
And it's been nothing but, actually since Friday, I guess, when the Mueller report was
things
released.
dropped. Yeah, that dropped on Friday, so everybody can go out to dinner and talk about it.
But, you know, it was released at around 5 o'clock, right? On a Friday. It's kind of like, there's no news over the weekend, really. You know, it's not taken seriously. All of the offices are closed. It's just ridiculous.
I thought that was strategic as well.
It's something you do when you don't want people really investigating.
Yeah, and they're hoping by the end of the weekend it'll die down, and then then something else hit, another wave hit.
Yeah,
which is the Smollett.
Well, you know what's weird is the Smollett thing. At least they waited 24 hours for it.
Right. Yeah.
Actually, I was saying this has been kind of a confusing week for me. When did the non-collusion, I guess, statement come out? Was that Monday? First thing?
So the report was dropped. It was hinted at basically there was no collusion on Friday, and then I believe it was Sunday where it was confirmed, I think, that there was no collusion.
There was hope though over the weekend that who's the name is Barr.
AG
I always
Barr.
think it's Roseanne Barr, and that there was a lot of hope out there that they were going to look it over and they were going to bring to the table a real, indictment of some sort. But right off the bat, they said no indictments.
Right, and it was funny. I remember a lot of the pundits were like, "So there are no sealed indictments, right?" And he's like, "No." And there are no. So you're saying that there's nothing else that's sealed, and I felt like I saying like, well, do you have it in a Ziploc? Is it in a Tupperware? Is it in a camp trunk? Are there any indictments in a camp trunk under the mattress? Like, no, there are no indictments.
You're hearing this in the background, like, and they're smoothing out their tinfoil hats, and they're basically breaking down every single word.
Yeah, and it's just it was funny. Funny watching everybody melt down, and then what you saw was the regrouping, and then they were saying that AG Barr, well, he didn't exonerate Trump, he didn't say there was no collusion, and the truth is he reported on the investigation, and the investigation said there was no collusion. So they're like grasping at straws, and they're melting down. The View is melting down. Rob Reiner's melting down.
Mm-hmm.
They're all melting down. Chris Evans is melting down. Captain America himself is melting down.
Yeah, what is the deal with that? You can't play Captain America and then turn your back on America.
And you know what's amazing is Kevin Feige is saying, "Oh, it's a very Cap thing to do, to question the government." And he's not questioning the government. He's questioning one man because his feelings are hurt. And I'm just gonna, so everybody knows, Captain America is my guy.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Captain America, like, he's my guy. Always has been. I love Wolverine, Spider-Man, but Captain America is my guy.
Right.
And his Chris Evans' statement is he had said, "I don't think I can be friends with Tom Brady anymore because he's a Trump supporter." And I'm thinking to myself, wow, like you're gonna let your friendship, let this affect your friendship because he supports Trump, and you're gonna cut your friendship off, and then you're also gonna tell everybody about this. And now I'll still go see the movies, because I'm not gonna be as hurt, as butthurt as Captain America is. I'm still gonna see the movies, but I'm just like, wow, like you're really just gonna go out there and alienate half your audience. Okay.
But at the same time, he is an actor, and he's there to read words off of a page. And that's, I think, what is the saving grace. you love the character. The character's still going to be developed. The
Yeah.
movies are still going to be fun. And Marvel really should be a little bit more careful. From what I understand, Marvel has given him a little bit of a thumbs up, and it's
They've given
okay.
her a huge thumbs up, as have they have with Brie Larson, who, see, the difference is Chris Evans established himself as the character over the last, I don't know, 10 years.
Hmm.
But Brie Larson, the movie hadn't even come out, and she was like, I don't want white people to come see my movie.
I
You know,
think
white,
Marvel forgets where they were 20 years ago,
right?
and they were almost bankrupt. I mean,
Right.
they
And when
really
you
should
have
not be, taking on things that they don't have to take on.
no, when you have Brie Larson saying, "Well, I don't want 40-year-old white men coming to see my movie," well, who do you think's bringing their kids? And who do you think
Exactly.
is reading the comic books?
Who do you think's
You know,
going to be there at the midnight showing? Because you know what?
right,
It's going to be the people who have jobs. It's not the millennials.
right. You didn't just make a movie for young women, which, and conversely, Wonder Woman was fantastic, and
Yeah, I
and I'm a
enjoyed it.
40, yeah, I'm a 40-something-year-old man, and I walked out of the movie and I was like, I want to be Wonder Woman. Now I'm
Not
not going to
literally.
identify and start using the women's bathroom,
Then your
but
wife sat you down and had a talk.
she said, "You have a penis. I have a
Said it could
vagina."
be fun once.
Right. But I'm who is going to see that movie, and
Yeah,
you shouldn't be out there just alienating people like that,
I
and just
agree.
it's I don't know. The climate is very weird. Um,
Yeah,
you know,
leave your politics off the screen because they're not going to age well.
right? And I believe the same thing with musicians, rock stars, established, your
Right,
Pearl Jams or your Foo Fighters or your, see, Pearl Jam wears their politics on their sleeve.
right.
I don't agree with their politics. I love the music. I don't
Are
agree
they
with politics.
loudmouths though? I don't think so.
They're kind of loudmouths about it. And Eddie Vedder specifically is. Now, on the flip side, Dave Grohl, who, if anybody knows, they know I love the Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl is a hardcore liberal, but he never says anything about it on stage. Mostly in interviews, he keeps it to himself, which I like because he knows that there are people out there that have different views than him that love his music.
Right, and
You
I
know,
think he also understands. I think David Grohl is he's a real business side to him, and he
hmm
understands that it's going to be a big percentage of people getting pissed off, and why take that risk?
right. And you and I spoke about this, that the concept of having a different point of view. I have friends that are liberals that have different point of views, and I keep saying it like it's a bad word, and I apologize for that. But I
We were
have
both
friends that,
liberals. Well,
right,
in a lot of ways, we probably still are liberals.
right, and have liberal, socially liberal ideas, but because I have some other ideas, some other, and people, maybe they don't want to be friends with me, or like I don't understand that. Like you and I had the conversation once before where you could disagree on something and then laugh about it and then
Right.
move on. And just hearing Captain America say, "Well, Tom Brady doesn't agree with what I think, so I don't know if I can be friends with him because he thinks something different."
Right. And what
You
does
know?
that have to do with this, with the entire Marvel universe?
Right. And why are you using your platform to influence people to say, well, this person over here has a different point of view. I shouldn't be friends with them because Captain America, is doing the same.
Right.
And
And
that's a
we'll make
terrible
up our
precedent.
own minds. That's another thing is, the reason why we don't like certain, I don't want to speak for you, but the reason why I don't like certain politics is because I feel like they're pandering, or they think we're idiots. They think that
Oh, you
we
mean
don't
hot
know
sauce?
better. Which thing?
Hot sauce?
Yeah.
Hot sauce Hillary?
Hot sauce. Um, Pickle jar Hillary. But like we don't. It's like we know what is best for us, and especially being New Yorkers, we can't be told one thing or another. We have to make up our own minds.
Yeah.
Um,
But I find that there are people here in New York, people that we know, are literally listening to the TV tell them, what to think, and then they just regurgitate what they've heard on the TV, and just these talking points, they just keep repeating them, and racist, misogynist, bigot, blah blah blah, and it's like after a while, can you come up with something different?
No, they can't. It's repetitive. I played you that fun song before, but it's like, they're repeating things to the point where people are able to go from network to network to network because they're all parroting each other.
Right.
They're
Now,
all doing the
speaking
same
of those
thing.
networks, what's interesting is there was a clip, I should have had it prepared, but where they're all saying, this is the beginning of the end, it's the beginning of the end, it's the beginning of the end, this is the beginning of the end, it's the beginning of the end, the beginning, this looks bad for Trump, it's the beginning of the end. And they all just parrot the same things over and over again. And they run with this line. And what happened is this weekend, they were all made to look foolish, and now they're all scrambling, and it's amazing. Everybody was wearing T-shirts with it's Mueller time, and now those T-shirts, now what's funny is all the conservatives want to buy those T-shirts because they're like, yes, it's Mueller time.
Well, they were doing the beginning of it's the beginning of the end, right?
Yeah.
And now they're saying that it's the end of the beginning. That's actually a new thing that they're trying to push, into all of this.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, no, it's such a twist on words. It's such like a mind effort.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think I have the video that you're talking about. If you wanted me, I'll just play it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Bad for President.
Wait, maybe.
Donald Trump's done. He's done. No. There's no question about that.
No, that's not it.
But but it's almost the same thing though. It's for the last 2.5 years, they've been saying he's done. This is the beginning of the end. It's
I do
he's
have
done.
It. I finally have it. If you want to hear it.
Let it go. Let it rip.
In on him.
Breaking news: a new bombshell.
One astrologer says this means the beginning of the end for President Donald Trump.
The beginning of the end of the Trump presidency.
Trump will resign.
Trump is going to resign.
Is this the tipping point? I know we've said it over and over.
You think this is a tipping point?
And over and over.
This is a tipping point.
And over and over.
Breaking news, President Trump off the rails.
There's the beginning of the end today.
The beginning of the end.
It reminds me a lot of the last days of Nixon.
Breaking news tonight, new bombshell.
This is the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
The walls are closing in.
The walls closing in.
I'll just lower it and talk over it. It goes on for another 2 minutes.
It's all different voices.
Do you think this?
And this isn't like News 12. This isn't NY1. This is CNN. This is MSNBC. This is
right. And CNN, you have the CEO who, and I'm quoting him, said, "Our journalists don't investigate; they only report." Like, are you kidding me?
Like, how dare you even call them journalists or reporters? I mean, they literally are just reporters then.
Right. You don't just report it. It's someone who reports on the news shows up with a microphone as the news is happening and says, "We're reporting on this cat in the tree."
Right, exactly.
But how did you find out the cat was in the tree? Somebody had to tell you. You had to investigate. And he's literally saying, "Well, we don't do that. Yeah. We just show up and, oh, there's a cat in the tree. Let's report on that." And you want to call yourselves news? And it's just crazy.
I do want to just take it back to music that we were discussing before, a little bit away from politics. I just wanted your opinion on this.
Yeah, sure.
Did you watch this Michael Jackson documentary that's on HBO?
So I didn't, and I'll tell you why. I know he's guilty. So I didn't need to watch it to let me.
No, I'm kidding.
What was that?
No, I'm like, hold on.
You're
talking about Michael Jackson. I said Michael Jackson. No.
Right. See, I love Michael Jackson's music.
Yeah, me too.
Growing up, I was listening to Iron Maiden, Motley Crue, and every metal band. But secretly, I'd go to my cousin Matt Milazzo's house, and we put on Off the Wall, and we put Thriller on. And I'd be like, "Dude, if you ever tell anybody, I swear to God, I'll punch you in the mouth."
He's dead now.
Actually, I haven't spoken to him in years, but
hope he's listening.
Matt, if you're out there, contact me. But we loved Michael Jackson, and here's the thing. Look, I know he's guilty. Am I going to start not listening to his music when it comes on the radio?
Well,
I don't know.
Here's the thing about all that. That's crazy to me, that kind of stuff. Because, you know, if you turn on a classic music station, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll play Wagner, right? That was Hitler's favorite music.
Right. So, you're going to not listen to Wagner because Hitler listened to Wagner? It's
right.
I mean, so, yes, he was guilty. Yes, he was a pedophile. He's dead.
Yeah.
It's almost like everybody knew this stuff. And I'm not sure why they had to put the documentary out. It's kind of piling on.
I do have a clip I wanted to play.
Yeah.
This comes from Good Morning Britain. Sorry, and it's a conversation with the director. It's a relatively short clip. Here we go.
Again, a bit later for you, but I suppose my obvious question: it's a harrowing watch. This 4 hours of most searing testimony from these two boys and their families. At the end, though, I'm left with the same question I've always been left with Michael Jackson, is that other than them saying this, and they've both said the complete opposite before, in one case, under oath, in a case which actually acquitted Michael Jackson, is other than what they're saying, did you unearth any actual evidence that proves Michael Jackson was a paedophile?
Well, there's masses of corroborating evidence. If you look at the...
And that's it. You know, I'm going to just, cut him off right there. There is a lot of evidence.
Right.
And I think the documentary, I've only watched part one of it, but I think you do walk away with this feeling that he was a pedophile, but I have to admit that something is up with the way it's edited. It's almost as though we're making it okay.
And that's why I didn't want to watch it, because I felt like it was piling on something that I already knew, that I don't condone. But what's worse to me, actually, more importantly, was Barbara Streisand. I don't know if you heard this.
Yeah, I did.
Who said, well, they survived. They got married and had children. They served a sexual need for him. And I couldn't help but think to myself, what if somebody said that about a rapist to a rape victim and said, well, you survived.
Well, we kind of are.
You had children.
We kind of are talking about rape as well,
Right. I'm
not
saying
forceful, but yeah.
To any rape, because we're living in the hashtag Me Too era, and
course.
Women, if someone had the audacity to say to a woman, so you were raped, you survived, you got married, you had children,
right.
You served a sexual need to this guy. Can you imagine? But it came out of Barbara Streisand's mouth.
Right.
And it's my head almost exploded.
She's talking the way that people say Trump supporters talk.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. Is someone who's so ardently, opposes Trump has the audacity to say something like that. Like, do you hear yourself?
Can you imagine if Trump said that? I mean,
That's
she's
what
a
I'm
media
saying.
darling, and he was too at one time.
Right. Can you imagine if Trump said about Rose McGowan, so you were raped, you survived,
and
right?
move on.
Right, you got over it, right? You served the guy's sexual needs. I mean, he would obviously not only be impeached, he would be run out of town. I mean,
everybody would turn on him.
Everybody would turn on. I'd turn on him. Everybody would turn on him. It's and Barbara Streisand says it about Michael Jackson, and I was just like, whoa. And I tried to stay away from that. Like you were saying, like, did you see it? I didn't see it. I tried to stay away from it. But then when I saw that, I was like, holy smokes.
Yeah. You said holy smokes?
I did say holy smokes. Yeah, I'm trying to be a good boy.
Good. Well, actually, with all of the news that I've heard in the past week, one of the things that kind of got slipped in is that Joe Biden is now thinking about really putting his hat in the ring.
Creepy Joe, Uncle Joe.
Chiclet.
Yeah, creepy Uncle Joe.
So I have a little bit of a clip where he basically says, "Spread your legs, you're going to be frisked." Just to add to the creepiness.
I saw that.
All right, here we go. Drop your hands to the side.
It's a little hard to listen to. I mean, to hear. The quality is so-so, but try to.
Spread your legs, you're going to be frisked. Drop your hands. You say that to somebody in North Dakota, they think it's a frisk. Drop your hands inside,
That was pretty clear.
He's loaded, man. He's had a couple at this point, right?
Yeah, and what's interesting is he once was saying, "I'd like to take Trump behind the high school and let him have it."
I forgot
But
about that.
then now, when he talked about throwing his hat in the ring, he was like, Trump scares me a little bit. Like, well, I thought you were going to beat him up behind the high school.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
who. Yeah, I want a badass. Like, I'm not going to vote for somebody who's afraid of Trump.
No. And Joe better watch that he doesn't get his plugs knocked out of his head.
Do you think he has plugs?
Yes.
I don't know.
Go look at the old
I
videos.
can't
of
tell.
him. Go look at his old videos where his hair is extremely wispy. He's got plugs.
So AOC basically, I have a tiny clip of her saying that she doesn't know why she's here. So it's just to bring her on to the topic of AOC.
We're on the AOC moment.
It always leads to AOC.
I don't know what we're here doing. I don't know what we're here doing.
I want that to be my ringtone.
That was her meltdown. When nobody voted. 57-0. And one of the co-authors of the Green New Deal actually voted no.
Now, let me get this straight, because you know more. You followed this much closer than I did. Bernie Sanders, who has been a proponent and has called people out for not supporting the new Green Deal or the Green New Deal. I can never remember which way it is.
The Green New Deal.
The GND.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even vote.
he voted present, I think.
Right, which is a non-vote, though.
It's a non-vote, right? And
mean,
Obama was excellent at voting present.
I mean, it's still like you're in a car, you're about to hit a wall, and you didn't hit the brakes. I mean, it's hitting, doing nothing is still just as bad as
right
hitting the
because
gas.
Because they knew that it was farcical. And we were talking about was it Senator was it Mike Lee?
McConnell? Oh no, Mike Lee.
Mike Lee, who has to be right now the king of the trolls.
He's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, he brought out velociraptors.
Yeah, why don't you talk about what he did exactly? It's pretty awesome.
This guy, he to show how farcical the Green New Deal was, he rolls out a picture of Reagan on top of a velociraptor with a rocket launcher, a machine gun, and the velociraptor's waving an American flag. He's saying that instead of airplanes, we can cross the frozen tundra on tauntauns, and describe them in depth, which I have to really give this guy
I was impressed.
Talking about they're from Hoth.
No, he called them snow lizards.
Yep, he said that they were the mammalian lizards, and then he rolled out Aquaman. He 20-foot seahorses.
Yeah.
To get to Hawaii, which
similar to tauntauns.
Yeah, was amazing. Basically, to show how farcical a bill that mentions getting rid of all cows because of their farting, right? And also, he didn't even discuss it, but there's the whole concept of recycling your urine and drinking your own urine.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, she wants people to drink their own urine, and to get rid of airplanes. And I had discussed with you earlier. I said, what I like about the Green New Deal is
take a quick sip of pee real quick.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's a good pee.
Renewable energy.
A little salty.
But I had said you asked me, what do I like about the Green New Deal? And the one thing that I think I love about the Green New Deal is all the new jobs that it would create, because, they're going to be building these bridges to Europe and to Hawaii. They're going to take a ton of time.
2,000 miles.
Oh, you're going to, the employment rate is just going to go through the roof.
Think of the technology that we're going to have in order to be even, the technology that the Green New Deal will invent will be incredible, because we have to go to the bottom of the sea floor in order to build these bridges, right?
Yeah, so we're gonna have to come up with technology that can actually go down that deep.
Wait, didn't she say that?
Yet.
Wait, didn't AOC say something? We have to invent technology
that hasn't been invented yet. Yes.
God, it's like
we have to invent technology that hasn't been invented yet.
You can't make
pretty much what inventing technology is.
Wait, I'm just looking inventing technology.
Yeah, she
Here we go. I'm just gonna play. It's only 30 seconds.
Yeah, let it rip.
Right.
If another country came in and bombed our mountains and poisoned our water, we would go to war. And we cannot allow that level of disrespect of our people and of our land to continue. And again, when it comes to the economics of it, we can put so many people to work. We need to refit so many pipes. We need to relay roads. We need to rebuild schools. We need to invent technology that's never even been invented yet.
Like, imagine one day we can have a phone that you can rub with your thumb. Like,
you do it. You do it.
You do it.
And
I love her. She's great. I wouldn't trade her for anyone.
She's full meltdown. Meltdown in front of Congress.
What do you think she's doing right now, aside from looking at her white boyfriend and yelling at him?
She says, "Howdy doody, get over here."
You do it.
You do it.
I'm not taking the garbage out. I'm
you
AOC.
do it. I'm the boss. You do it.
Yo, I swear to God, why Saturday Night Live doesn't run with this?
They won't, because they listen.
Man, just living with AOC. It's an entire skit waiting to be written.
Right, and they won't do it. So who criticized them recently? An alum.
It's her catchphrase. You do it.
Yeah, they were saying that it's just SNL has become a political wing,
of
the Democratic Party, and
it's more angry than funny.
Yeah, it's just a propaganda tool now. And yes, they made fun of presidents before, but it was always funny. And like we discussed it once before with Spicy, Sean Spicer. That was hilarious.
Spicy.
But they won't make fun of her because she's young, she's Latina, she's something of a mentor to people.
Yeah.
And they won't do it because for fear that she's going to tweet about them.
That's kind of like Barack Obama. They never really went all out with Barack Obama.
They didn't.
Little
and
bit,
we know
here.
why. It's not, it's not a secret.
Mm-hmm.
It's and I mean, when you have the followers that she has on Twitter, SNL doesn't want that kind of heat. They don't.
Now there is a part 2 that came out. Let's see, when did this might have come out? Just 5 days ago. The Brains Behind AOC Part 2.
Oh wow, I didn't see.
I have not had a chance to watch it, but I will report on it next. I'll send you a link to it. But it's a 20-minute video from Mr. Reagan. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. And it's very, very popular. Now, here's something. I just want your opinion on this. The Brains Behind AOC Part 2. It has 225,000 views. More than that. This channel only has 158,000 views. Strange, right?
That means that it was floated around. And a lot of people saw it. A lot of people referred it to other people.
But it's not just that. I was kind of going around a few different channels, and I came across it's here, the New Turks. The Young Turks. The Young Turks.
Yeah, Cenk Younger, he's a piece of work.
Now, the Young Turks has 4.3 million subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
They released a video days ago with 154,000 views. And it's basically the video where, what's his name?
Cenk Younger.
It's about basically their response to the AOC conspiracy theory, which I don't think is much of a conspiracy theory. I think it's a fact.
Right.
But it's just kind of interesting. We have a channel with 4+ million subscribers, and it's only been seen 154,000 times versus Mr. Reagan. It's just kind of interesting. People want the truth. We're getting tired of YouTube shutting us down and just kind of, it's very obvious, if these numbers are accurate anyway, that we're not able to get certain data. For instance, somebody was going back and forth with me a little bit, and they were like, well, Rob Reiner, he's great. And I remember watching this interview with him and his wife. And his wife is basically the puppet master for Rob Reiner.
Mm-hmm.
And I still cannot find these clips of this interview with them. They went on the radio. They go on tour together. They're always together. They're always talking. There's nothing on the internet about
somebody stripping it down, and that's what's going on. Is you know, this? Look at the colleges. Free speech is being squelched at the colleges, and
well, not anymore. It's executive order,
right? But they're still gonna fight that.
Yeah.
And you got Ben Shapiro being called a Nazi. Guy wears a yarmulke. They're calling him a Nazi, and they don't want him at their school, which is insane. And we spoke about it before. The echo chamber, like they want their own echo chamber that they can just be in, and it goes back to that NPC. Like I picture that caricature of the NPC on Chris Evans' face now. He's become NPC.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Orange Man bad.
Yeah.
Am I right, folks?
Am I right? You've heard of Dr. Drew, right?
Dr. Drew, yeah.
Now, he has a show with a comedian. I cannot remember his name, but I'm a fan of his.
Adam Carolla.
Adam Carolla.
And Adam Carolla is partners with Prager, Dennis Prager.
And, I didn't know that.
And they have they do a lot of shows together. And
it's all right, AOC.
I happen to respect Dennis Prager a lot, and he's very smart. This guy, he was a professor. His education is from Columbia University, which to come out of Columbia University and still be conservative is something of short of a miracle.
Mm.
But yeah, so Adam Carolla is definitely a conservative, and Dr. Drew, I imagine. I don't know what his platform is. I haven't really heard him speak much.
You know, there is a clip that I saw of him. He was testifying in a House Oversight Committee. This is Adam Carolla.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I was just going to play a minute of it, if you don't mind. It's basically,
sure.
The name of the video is "We Need the Adults to Start Being Adults."
Mr. Carolla, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. It's an honor to be asked to speak in front of you all.
I can't take him too seriously because I am a big fan of his, but as soon as I hear his voice, I'm laughing.
I know.
But, you know, it's like Dee Snider back in the 80s when he went in front of Tipper Gore.
Yeah.
You know,
as soon as Adam talked to him, ziggy zagging, oi, oi, oi.
Exactly.
First, just a quick piece of business. Do we get to keep these pads? This is going to be huge. And not that I'm going to, but what do you reckon they'll get on eBay? I'm not saying I'm going to. I'm just pure curiosity. I'm not as eloquent as Mr. Shapiro. I sort of speak in beats and off the top of my head, and I've written a few down for you all today. First off, I come from a very blue-collar background. I grew up in North Hollywood, California. My dad was a school teacher, and my mom received welfare and food stamps, and told me very importantly when I was young, when I asked her if she would get a job, she said, "And lose my welfare benefits? No, thank you." Which taught me a very valuable lesson, which was never to listen to my mom. All right. I ended up being a carpenter and then a boxing instructor, and met Jimmy Kimmel when I taught him to box for a morning zoo stunt, and eventually made my way onto TV and radio. In the early days of my career, I toured the country with Dr. Drew when we were on Loveline together, a syndicated radio program also on MTV. And we must have played 100 college campuses with nary a word of negativity, and no safe spaces and no stuffed animals being handed out. Simply went there, said our piece. Many controversial ideas were exchanged, and that's just what they were. Exchanged, and then we got our paychecks and went home. And 15 years later, I went out with Dennis Prager, conservative talk show host, and attempted to do a show at Cal State Northridge, where my mother was an actual graduate from, with a Chicano Studies degree, believe it or not. So she's rolling in dough about now. And they pulled the plug on it. They gave us no good reason why we couldn't speak there, and we actually had to get attorneys involved to go back and speak at a later date.
So I just wanted to touch upon that. It basically, I mean, talking about just over a decade and a half, how things have changed.
Yep. This goes to it speaks to the professors. All of the professors that are teaching at the colleges now were all of the hippies that were around during the Vietnam War, the dissenters, who's Robert Ayers. Robert Ayers is his name, who influenced Obama.
Yes,
yes. He literally killed people. He was bombing things, and now he's a professor.
The Weather Report was that guy?
Weather Report. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. And
not the band.
No, not the band. And they were a terrorist organization, and they were bombing people. And now he's teaching in colleges, and this is who we're teaching the kids. And what's going on is they only want this huge echo chamber of what they're hearing.
Yes.
And they won't allow somebody else to come in and challenge that. That's what's going on.
Yeah,
it's sad.
It is really sad, and it makes me question my own son when he makes this decision in less than 10 years. Do you want to really go to one of these universities and get brainwashed, or learn a trade? It's kind of like
right. It's a scary.
I have no issue. I will question whether if he's like, well, I want to go to one of these, ultra. Left-wing things. I'm, who am I to stand in his way on one hand, but on the other hand, I'm not going to support that.
Right. It's like if he's able to get into Columbia University, your son is smart. Wow. That's amazing feat. But Columbia University is churning out these AOCs,
right.
And it's really a tough environment. And
how did we forget the other scandal from this week, the college admission scandal?
Oh yeah, we didn't even get to that.
We forgot about it.
This leads right into it. You have all these sycophantic celebrities that they're railing against the system and Trump, and they want open borders, and they and then all of a sudden they're paying for their kids to skip the line.
Now, I want to just say this. Like, we have a number of celebrities. I think there's 33 people who are brought up.
And from what I hear, there's going to be a lot more coming out.
It's really crazy, but I don't know if we mentioned this before, but all right, you know what? I think Dr. Dre spent $70 million. How stupid is your kid? Yep. You need to spend $70 million.
And he's got a name on a building, right? And then he has the audacity to say, she got in all by herself.
He deleted that. He deleted that tweet.
Of course he deleted it, because he realized, oops.
But it's like they all get archived. It's like, what are you deleting? It's like
exactly.
It's like trying to erase it with a pencil or something.
The internet is forever.
Yeah, exactly. If it gets posted even for a moment, like a second, it's archived.
That's it.
Now my question is this. Okay, Dr. Dre's daughter, I wish I knew her name. Truly young, actually. Of course it is. It's Truly Young. And she, all right, she gets accepted. She goes to USC. And what about the end of the semester? What about her classes? Why is she passing?
Right.
So I'm ready to say, okay, the admission, clearly there's a scandal. Okay, boom. Mm-hmm. That's step one.
All right, what's the follow-up?
Now, you're becoming a goddamn doctor or something, or you're getting your master's or something.
She wants to follow in the family tradition.
Who the hell's handing this stuff in?
She wants to be in Dr. Dre.
Exactly. It's true, though. I'm going to put a boom. No, so, in reality, who is basically doing all the work for her, because this woman is not able to do the work.
Right. So the school has to be involved, because this Lori Loughlin, her kid, she's shooting YouTube videos, and she's getting
I love
endorsements from companies, and she's basically saying on the YouTube video, I don't want to be here.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yet she's passing.
She's dropped by all of her things. She's a nobody who never did anything. But her daughter was, she had something with one of these makeup stores and, all of this modeling stuff, and she's dropped from everything.
Yeah, as she should be.
Olivia Jade, that's it.
Yeah.
She's reportedly at risk of losing her beauty trademarks.
Oh.
Why would you lose something like that? This is actually, I'm sorry, I didn't read the whole thing. Olivia Jade is reportedly at risk of losing her beauty trademarks because of her bad punctuation. So it's bad. Probably the paperwork is incorrect. But Lori Loughlin, I remember her back in the days of Rad.
Aunt Becky.
Yeah, but even before that, there was Rad. I don't know if you ever
What
saw
was
Rad.
Rad?
Rad was Rad was a freestyle movie, right? Where it's like where they would ride BMX bikes, and it was a Talia Shire production, right? Starring, co-starring Talia Shire. It's basically the Rocky of BMX.
Interesting. I gotta find this.
If you go to VHSrewind.com, which is my website, we reviewed it, but you got to see that movie. That's just R-A-D, Rad.
I gotta look that up.
It's one of the greats, one of my top favorite guilty pleasure movies. But yeah, Lori Loughlin, I don't get it. I don't know why somebody would spend so much money. I think Dr. Dre spent the most.
It seems that way.
But Lori Loughlin spent quite a lot.
Yeah. Yep. And what's interesting is they're just pushing their kids to the front of the line, and then they're not allowing somebody else to have that. Like, there's that whole who is it? Dinesh D'Souza had a debate with a young kid.
I love him. He's brilliant.
He's great. And the kid was talking about, that underprivileged kids, minorities don't have chances in colleges. And he's advocating that, we should somehow give these people chances. And Dinesh D'Souza is like, okay, so you march into the registrar's office and give up your seat.
Right.
And the kid was like, he's just dumbfounded. He goes, no, I'm just telling you to do it. He goes, you do it. And then tell me if it works out, and then I'll do it. He's like, you want to advocate for other people to do things, but you don't want to do it yourself.
Right.
And what's interesting is they're taking those seats from kids that deserve it by paying $500,000, $70 million to get your kid in school, when there's another kid out there that's smart enough that could have possibly gotten, a scholarship, could have had that seat and didn't get it because their kids got in and they paid for it.
Right, because the check cleared.
Right.
I mean, that's the only reason that they're there. You reminded me of this video I watched. It was all in French, but I was just basically following what they were doing. The subtitles were all incorrect. But they were going up to people on the street in, I think it was in France, saying, what do you think about the migrants? Would you, and people are for the most part like saying, I think it's good. And they're welcome here, and it's like, well, would you ever, welcome them into your own home? It's like, yeah, of course I would. My door is wide open. So they have somebody come out, and they bring a guy out, and they're like, okay, just sign right here, and he's going to be your responsibility. And, oh, my place is pretty small. Now, they must have spoken to a dozen people, and not one of them was agreeing to take anybody anywhere. Every excuse, I can't, I'm in a rush now, I got to get going. Are you serious? Nobody will actually do it. And they shouldn't. It's not that they shouldn't. What I'm saying is the average person needs to not really be involved in that. I think that this is something that we pay more than enough taxes in this country to be able to accommodate homeless people and people who are genuinely seeking asylum.
Right.
Remember Garp? Was it Garp or one of those movies with Robin Williams? He plays like a Russian
the world according to Garp. Was that what it was?
Yeah, I think he's seeking asylum.
Yeah.
He plays trumpet and he's here, and it's like it was a real serious thing because that's what they were. The Russians. Or I'm probably totally butchering the movie, but he just basically was on tour with this band, and he just kind of said, I seek asylum.
Right.
And then that was it. He was here.
Yep.
It was a big thing. It wasn't something that was so abused.
Right. Exactly. Now it's anybody could seek asylum and then or claim asylum, and then you have these guys with the MS-13 they're getting through, and then everybody's going to tell you more people get in through the ports and airplanes and stuff like that, and overstaying their visas. Yes, I understand that. I do understand that, but they're pulling drugs, left and right coming across the border.
Like, you have to seal the whole crack. I mean, it's got to start somewhere.
Right. I mean, I've had this discussion with people all the time. They say, well, a wall's not going to work, right? So they'll still get in. So my answer is, well, an alarm on your house may not work either. Like if somebody wants to get into your house, they'll get into your house. So do you not buy an alarm just because they might be able to get around it? Or do you buy the alarm with the hope that, it's still going to be a deterrent? You can't just say, well, if somebody wants to get in, they'll get in. So they don't have anything at all. That doesn't make any sense.
I wanted to ask you if you have any predictions for the week. I want to get into the predictions.
I don't even know.
Anything could happen.
So here's the thing. The feds are going to take over the Smollett case, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was the end game, because think about this. I think that the Kim Foxx wanted to get this out of the state's hands and get it into the feds' hands. The same feds, the FBI, if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, the same FBI that has been trying to get rid of Trump, who Trump has been disparaging. Everybody, I can't believe Trump's talking badly about the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
The FBI has been trying to remove him. Lisa Page, Strzok, right? So they want to get the Smollett case out of the state's hands and get it into the feds' hands, because that was the end game for that anyway, to try to get rid of all the evidence. So the feds are going to be taking a look at it now. So this is going to be under a microscope for everybody to see what's going to happen.
Him? Why do you think him? Just because he's friends with the Obamas?
I don't know.
Bizarre to me.
It really is.
The guy's a complete nobody.
I know that his sister is dating Cory Booker, I think.
Hmm.
So that's another link. And Kamala Harris is very good friends with him. So there's a lot of political movements going on and implications for the future. Not just the Obamas, but what's going to happen for the future. Kamala Harris is talking about running for president.
That's cute.
Right. So then you have Kamala Harris, who was at a protest with him or something like that, and she's very good friends with him. And so there's a lot of political machinations that are going on that I think that he is sort of like in the middle of all this stuff. And this just blew up in his face.
That's crazy.
And I've seen this talked about, and I think it's fair to say, imagine if a white male said that two black males tried to jump him or beat him up, right, and fabricated the whole thing, and then got off on it. Can you imagine the riots in the streets that would be going on right now? Right? It's fair to say.
No, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I got to admit, the entire story, even his story, today's story, and the original story, none of it really makes any sense.
No.
Like, it was done so incorrectly.
And he paid by check.
But this is what I mean. Another thing is they're saying he's not guilty, right?
They just dropped the charges. The police department is saying we have all the evidence that's basically saying he's guilty.
They're pissed.
Right, they're pissed because they have the evidence.
And Rahm Emanuel even said this is a complete whitewash.
Right, and the AG just dismissed the case, all 16 charges. So
it's insane. It is genuinely insane.
Yep.
Well,
and then we haven't even gotten to Avenatti.
Oh my God, Avenatti.
That came right after no collusion. It was no Trump collusion with the Russians. Oh, also, Michael Avenatti's getting arrested. And also, Mark Arago's his partner, or CNN contributor was his partner.
There's this video I found it somewhere on YouTube as soon as he got busted. And it's this guy basically saying how Avenatti's going to be running for president. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, he was talking about running for president.
His name is on the list of people who were going to run.
Yep. And CNN had him on something like 108 times. I think they had him on the show. And he was their linchpin. They were putting all their hope in him. And they really thought that, he was going to bring Trump down with the porn star.
Now,
right?
he was trying to extort money from Nike.
From Nike. It's like $25 million. And he also, Mark Garagos, represented Kaepernick. So here you have a situation where you've got they're trying to extort money from Nike, and Mark Garagos is representing Colin Kaepernick. How does he tie into this whole situation?
The whole thing is really crazy. I want to know where Lisa Story Avenatti is, his ex-wife.
I don't know. But what's interesting was when Stormy Daniels was asked about Avenatti, she says, "Oh, it doesn't surprise me." So wait a minute. This is a guy that was representing you, and now you're saying it doesn't surprise you that he was arrested and that he was, scamming people for money. It blows my mind.
She was probably like, who?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think she's just, she's a tool. Like, she was used and she was thrown back when,
Which is what happens to everybody when,
eventually.
With the Democrats, when they've outlived their usefulness, they get tossed to the side.
And this is not to say that if the candidates, if you're going to bring a fresh face, somebody who's legitimate, that doesn't have some form of a weird history, who's a Democrat, then I'm not willing to take a look at them.
Well, this is Tulsi Gabbard. I've mentioned this. I mean, I don't like the platform, but this is a rational, normal person. She served the country. I'm willing to listen to this woman. I'm willing to listen to the woman and hear what she's got to say. I don't necessarily like the some of the things that she's going to run on, but she's a sane voice. Out of everybody in that party, this woman is the sanest person, I think, out of that whole party.
Because here's the thing, although I like what Trump is doing, for the most part, half the time, I don't really care for how dramatic the White House has become.
Yeah, we discussed it. I don't like the tweets.
He should leave Twitter and let it go out of business and just go somewhere else.
Well, the interesting about that is I've said time and time again, and every time I say it, I say he should just stop tweeting. Then he'll tweet something so outrageous, and then I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe he did that. 6 weeks later, I'm like, oh my God, he was right. But then I keep saying he should stop doing it, and then he does something, and then I'm like, oh my God, he was kind of right about that. And it becomes farcical, and I get it. I think that's what everybody hates, is that the office of the presidency seems like it has become a joke. But the truth is, I mean, I don't think people voted for him to be this nice guy, well-spoken presidential guy.
I didn't vote for him for that reason.
No, people voted for him because he seemed like the kind of guy that was going to put the country on his back, And
he's been keeping his word. I mean,
right.
He gets a lot of stuff done.
And I don't agree with everything he does. I don't. There's sometimes he says something, and I'm just like, oh my God, bro, what are you doing? And I stand by it. I'm like, and I'll call him out on it. But when you look at this statistically, when you look at unemployment in general, unemployment among minorities, he's got the most women in high positions in his cabinet than any other president's ever had.
I think it was Trump that hired the very first CEO in the country, something like that. Like,
before he was even
president. Yeah, he's put women on the map. And so it makes no sense to me. There was one other piece of news that we're forgetting that we didn't mention. That was Joe Biden's announcement. We're going back to the moon.
Creepy Uncle Joe.
Oh no, did I say Joe Biden? No, I meant Mike Pence.
Oh, Mike Pence.
His announcement. We're going back to the moon.
Uh-oh.
Did you hear about this?
No, I did not.
Oh, wait. Let me see if I can find a quick clip of this.
Is he going to take all the gay people with him and electrocute them on the moon?
He threatened NASA, said you got 5 more years to go back to the moon, or else.
Or else.
He literally said this. Here's a clip. All right. Hopefully this is a
Vice President Mike Pence spoke at the National Space Council meeting and offered a challenge to the men and women of NASA.
Just as the United States was the first nation to reach the moon in the 20th century, so too will we be the first nation to return astronauts to the moon in the 21st century. And I'm here on the President's behalf to tell the men and women of the Marshall Space Flight Center and the American people that at the direction of the President of the United States, it is the stated policy of this administration and the United States of America to return American astronauts to the moon within the next 5 years.
Or else.
The last manned moon landing.
Anyway, so
I don't know where the
or else came from. That's why I read that. It could have been a statement of some sort. He is a terrible, terrible teleprompter reader.
Yeah, and I don't know what the significance of going to the moon is going to be. I mean, it's...
You got to do it.
I guess. I don't know.
I know what it is. And, I do have a little bit of we should maybe save the conspiracies for the end of the show, which is where we are now.
Yeah.
I think that when Trump's administration tries to push these kind of things that are just really out there, what they're trying to do is either defund them or he's trying to totally change them. So I think you probably saw the news where Betsy DeVos took $18 million away from the Special Olympics.
Yes.
Now, immediately, knee-jerk reaction, like, you son of a bitch, how dare you do that? That type of thing.
Right.
But can I ask you, do you know anything about the Special Olympics? I don't know if you know anything about it. I don't.
The only thing I know is that...
A little.
Yeah, people with abilities, with...
different abilities.
They compete, and they actually are pretty amazing.
Now, why is it, though? Why is the educational budget paying for that? Is my question. What does that have to do with education? It really doesn't. They should get sponsorship. That should be something that is not paid for by our educational tax dollars, personally. Right. That's my own personal opinion.
Well, and then people would argue, well, if the tax dollars don't pay for it, then how's it going to get paid for it? And that's exactly the point.
That's what's wrong with this country, though, is we're afraid to say that.
Right. So everybody wants the government to do it. Everybody wants the government to extort people, for the money to do it. But nobody wants to give the money directly. They're very comfortable with the government taking the money from me and then giving it out. And there is a Bible verse. And
let Rob Reiner pay for it. I don't know.
Yeah. Where Jesus says, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, give to God what is God's. The idea is that the people, they were very comfortable with the Romans. Let's just let the Romans take from us and then give it to everybody else. And that's not the idea.
Right.
If you want to support something here, going back to Pearl Jam, who, I'm a little bit at odds with their political views. They recently said that they were going to donate, I don't know how many millions of dollars to an organization. And I was like, oh my God, capitalism works.
Right. Of course.
You're going to put your money where your mouth is. You know what? I support that. That's amazing.
Right.
And I've always said that instead of Oprah Winfrey on her show giving away cars to people in the audience, she's not giving the cars away. She's allowing the companies to give the cars away, and it's an endorsement for the company to be on a commercial. She didn't buy the cars and said, I bought 15 cars and I'm going to give these 15 cars to people. She's saying, Chevy, you can come on the show, advertise your product, and you can give these cars away.
Right.
And you didn't do anything for anybody. But
I just think that it's one of these things where there's no reason why, especially with education being as broke as it is, that money, it's like $18 million that should be being used in, parts of the country that really need that money, not the Special Olympics, which granted, is a very, very, it's a very good organization. But you know what? I don't think that AIDS vaccine, AIDS like research should come out of the educational budget either. So by eliminating it, it just needs to be taken from somewhere else, and it's just being, it has to just go somewhere else. Maybe the same thing with NASA. I think he's saying, look, you can't do it in 5 years. You're going to get defunded.
It's interesting. That's interesting.
I
didn't think
because
that
why not? I mean, we're not going to wait 6 years. All right, we said 5 years. Wrap it up. Go home. Why are we wasting this money? Show me some progress.
I just think, why go to the moon? I mean, it should be, further out, or I mean.
Well, I always felt like if you can go to the moon, and this is what I felt like they should have done 50 years ago. Who knows? Maybe they did. Create a moon base, and I think that is the most logical thing. You go to the moon, and then you leave from the moon to wherever you're going.
Interesting.
It's once you're there, it's like why go there and come back? You go there and you start digging. You put a foundation down. You build something.
That's interesting, and I didn't think of it that way.
Because if it's so hard to leave the planet, why come? Bring it out once.
Yeah, exactly. You can even have a station up there where you're actually, building things up there.
You have robots. Come on, we have robots that could be building these things. Pearl Jam could be playing in the moon in 20 years.
There you go. Pearl Jam could be playing on the moon.
And you could get a telescope. They'll be a lot more advanced by then. You can actually watch it like you're in the parking lot of Jones Beach.
Go Facebook Live from the moon.
You ever go to a Jones Beach show and not be able to get in? You can't find an extra ticket or something. You just wait in the parking lot.
That's it. Just live stream it from the moon.
You go on the beach and just listen. It's all right.
Check him out. He jumped off the stage and he's bouncing.
But Dan, as usual, it's been fun covering the week. We'll be back next week.
Yes, I'm sure there's going to be a ton of stuff by the time we get back together.
Yeah, I'm going to look more into the snow lizard thing. That was a really interesting thing. I never thought of the tauntaun as a lizard.
And neither did I, and I want to know where he got that information from, because he was pretty on point with his things.
Yeah, I mean, they tend to think, you've heard the reptilian theories, right? Those ridiculous.
No, now I have to go to YouTube.
What? Yeah, type in Hillary or anyone, basically, reptilian.
What do you go, Mark Zuckerberg, that he's a lizard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, now we're talking snow lizards. I mean, come on.
There we go.
But all right, man. So see you next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you.